chapter number 6 of your part 1 SST book, that is Understanding Social Science India and Beyond. The chapter name is Democracy. As my dear students, class 9 students, your book has been renewed, lot of new things have been added. This chapter, Democracy, existed in the last year book also, but there is lot more changes which have been bought in this particular book, and hence I have bought this session for you. Welcome on the platform, Vedantu, and I am your SST faculty Tanvi Ma'am. However, we already uploaded this video, that is Democracy. It was when the book was not actually in the market, and hence there are a lot of things which missed in the previous video which we are going to do today. So basically, agenda of this video, as you can see in the thumbnail, is NCERT line by line. My dear students, you are just class 9 kids, and I'm not expecting you to be so understanding in a way that I speak something here, go, and everything retains in your mind, and hence the series is brought to you. In this series, we will read every line of NCERT. I will tell you these are the keywords, these are the lines you need to underline, these are the paragraphs from where question will be made for your exam perspective, and I hope that you are going to love that, you are going to enjoy the session as well. We'll keep in mind that we don't learn SST in the boring way, rather in the interesting way possible. So let's start without wasting much of your time, the chapter Democracy. So beta, as here a very heavy word is written, and what is that word? Democracy. Every time we start a chapter, we first decodes its heading, and here democracy is a word which you are learning since you was like very small, right? What do you know about democracy? That it is a form of government. It is what? It is a form of government in which rulers are elected by the people. Exactly. So beta, in the world there are different form of government. Like there are monarchical government, in which the ruler is not elected, rather, I won't say ruler, rather the head of the country is not elected, but it is hierarchical. That means the son after the other becomes the head of the nation. Like there in UK, the system of queen and king is there. However, United Kingdom's is constitutional monarchy. Constitutional monarchy means when that monarch is responsible to the constitution, answerable to the constitution. In the world, there also exists a system that is dictatorship, in which the ruler is not actually elected by the people, and the other one is democracy. The system in which the leader who is going to govern the nation, who is going to rule the nation, is elected by the people. This is what actually democracy means. Now here is one important thing that I have to discuss, what we are going to read in this chapter and how we are going to study this chapter. Beta, the starting is slow, but I bet you that till the end of the session you will be like, ma'am, we have done a lot. So beta, two things, how we are going to cover this chapter, okay? And what are we going to cover in this chapter? These are the two important questions which we are going to cover at earliest, right? So beta, when I talk about how we are going to learn this chapter, we will be reading NCERT, that is Understanding Social Science India and Beyond, okay? NCERT, that will be line by line, right? Along with me, you have to open your NCERT, sit on the study table. I don't want any of my student watching me sitting here and there or laying on the bed. No, sit on the study table properly, take your pen, take your paper as well as your SST book, because when I will ask you to underline, you have to underline along with me, because I believe that I don't want to teach you. We both will learn together. This is the agenda of my videos always. So NCERT line by line, you have to underline the keywords. But after every important topic, we have added certain MCQs for practice. Okay, that will help you to revise those topics and will help you to analyze that you remember something or not. And by the end of video, I have added certain practice questions. However, I call them as homework questions that you have to do, right? You have to do for sure after this video. This is how we are going to study today. Now coming towards what we are going to study today. This is very important. Beta, in this chapter, they are telling us about democracy, okay? Then the next important part is that ancient presence of democracy. So in ancient India, was there any feature like democracy present? Because it is always being told that this is the concept of the West. It is always being told to us that, right? However, there are evidence which clearly state us that lot of times we have found the structure like democracy existed in the ancient India as well. Then we will talk about the principles, or we can call it features of democracy, particularly in India. We'll talk about particularly in India, my dear students. After that, we will learn about the election commission, or what we can say, yes, the election body that is basically responsible for making this government, electing this government. And then we will end the chapter with the challenges in front of democracy, challenges to democracy, because now we are aware about that recently there was Jantar Mantar protest, right? In Jharkhand, the protest is going on. So basically there are a lot of challenges which democracy face every day. In class 10th you will read a statement in the chapter outcomes of democracy that examination is actually the mirror. Examination, cross examination is the part of democracy, and that only make it a democratic nation, where we are able to raise our question, we are able to ask the question, we are able to challenge what the government has done. This is exactly what democratic system is, and India is one of the largest democratic country in the world. This is how the chapter begins with some questions, right? This time when they have made the SST book, beta, every chapter starts with 4 big questions, and those questions clearly make you understand the chapter revolve on which topics. Okay, like here it is, how has the idea of democracy evolved over time and shape our understanding today, right? If you're not able to see it here, please take your book. That is why I said you that you need to have your book in your hand. Okay, so yes, how it has been evolved over the time. Second question, what are the different forms of democracy and how are they practiced in India and other parts of the world? So India is not only the democratic country in the world, beta. Out of the total countries in the world, some around 90% countries are democratic. Which type of democracy they are using, they are following, how it is different from India, because not all the democratic countries are same, right? Their system, what we can say, the skeleton is different, that we have to learn. The third is, what are the essential features of democracy and how they extend beyond government institutions. That's very important. And the last but not the least, what are the challenges faced by democracy? These are the 4 pillars on which the chapter rely. So as it starts with, India is world's largest democracy. I am using red pen whenever I feel that this is the line that you also need to underline in your book. Right? Yes, my dear student, India is the world's largest democracy in the world with the population of around 140 crore and a voter base of 96.8 crores. So, beta, according to the data, it is 96.8 crore of people that participates in the day-to-day voting, not day-to-day, the every time voting system. That means elections to Lok Sabha. Okay? And here it represents that India is one of the largest democracy across the borders, across the world, right? The constitution play a crucial role in safeguarding the rights of people in a democracy. When I talk about the constitution of India, beta, when we talk about what? When we talk about the constitution of India, we are well aware that, right, the Indian constitution is the result of what? 200 years of fight against the British Empire, right? If you are aware, beta, the constitution took, you know how much time to be written? It took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to be completed. It took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to be completed. Let me tell you the story how Indian constitution was made. So beta, what happened now? Britishers came to India in 1600. We will also talk about this. Fine. So let's first decode that thing, then move to democracy. So it was in 1600 beta when East India Company came to India, right? The initial target of East India Company was to do as much as trade with India, because that time we had lot of resources. We was among the one of the richest countries, or what we can say territory in the world. They came here, they saw certain resources which are actually important for their growth. They came and exploited us as much as possible. 1600, when East India Company came to India, defeated all its counterparts like French, the Portuguese existing in India, the Danish existing in India, right? And let them go out of India. They were having exclusive right now. East India Company. What happened, beta? They increased the trade, but the time came when East India Company, against East India Company, there was a revolt in 1857 that's popularly known as Revolt of 1857, right? Do you remember you studied this in class 8? Yes, you remember that. After that, beta, what happened? The direct charge of the nation went into the hand of British government. The British government sitting in London, right? They got the direct charge 1857. You know that before this 1857, it was in 1757 that this East India Company fought the first battle, that was Battle of Plassey. Battle of Plassey, and it took 100 years to them to have a control over entire India and call it as British India in the year 1857. Now what happened after that? Beta, after that there was rise of the feeling of nationalism in India, which led to the formation of Indian National Congress in the year 1885. And this became the first political body, or what we can say political party, that raised the demands for the freedom in front of British government. Right? I'll just brief you quickly that after that a lot of movements took place in India. That is Swadeshi movement, right? We talk about non-cooperation movement. Then there was civil disobedience movement. There was Quit India movement. Some major movements after which British realized that bhai, this is the time we have to leave India. They brought several proposals, and in that we accepted one which was Cabinet Mission Plan. Cabinet Mission Plan. This Cabinet Mission Plan talk about forming of Constituent Assembly. Pay attention, my dear students. Constituent Assembly. You may feel like, ma'am, this is not there in the book. I understand. But you have to understand everything in detail. Okay, so this Cabinet Mission Plan presented Constituent Assembly, beta, and this was given the task to make the Constitution of India. Constitution of India. You know that this was started in the year 1946. Why I am talking about this year? It took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days, and you know that this task was completed on 26th of November 1949. This date you can see in the preamble of India too. Now thinking about, ma'am, what is the preamble? Beta, since childhood you are reading NCERT and there is one page in the NCERT that is preamble. And if you are still not knowing about preamble, there is a problem. Being an Indian, be proud of the Constitution of India and read that preamble. Decode every word of preamble today. This is one of the homework I am giving to you as a SST teacher, and you have to follow it, by the way. So coming to this back, 26 November 1949 when we completed our Indian Constitution. Now the question is, then why we celebrate? Okay? Then why do we celebrate Republic Day on 26th of January and not on 26th of November? Good question, right? Now the answer, who will give the answer? Obviously your teacher, bhai. So the link to this course is there in the description box. The link to this course is there in the description box, from where you can get these courses. and this is just for 0 rupees. It is basically to provide you all the PDFs, session PDFs, quiz, a lot more thing. So you can see you are in which class, bhai? You are in, sorry, I missed it. So you are in class 9th. I thought you are in class 10th. Okay, CBSE class 9th SST, view this. Okay. Now what you can do is, beta, CBSE class 9, we have lot of content and assignments to be uploaded here, but I will tell you about the classes and the schedule. See, arey bhai, take me back. Why can't you take me back to my course? Okay, here is my course. What I want to tell you is, yes, here is the schedule. Sorry, my bad. ठीक है, schedule, you can see this calendar view, beta. In this calendar view, you will see that lot of chapters have been already uploaded by me. Like on Monday 3rd, there was a YouTube class of Sir, Sonu Sir for Maths. Then I have the class, the last class, when was it? Yes, Shaping of Earth Crust, Atmosphere and Climate. So similarly, you will see the class as the same date I am uploading this YouTube video. Go to this page, AIU page, it is known as AIU page of Vedantu, and you can get the class slides, and they will be the session PDF for that. They will be the notes for you, and I hope that you're going to get it for sure. Okay, you're going to get it for sure. So it is basically on, what is the date today, bhai? Let me check. Okay, so it is on 10th of August. So you need to just go to 10th of August, right? Once the video is recorded and uploaded, you can see it on 10th of August. Download the session PDF. I will be adding more quiz also for this. So beta, what happened na? Right back in 1929. Okay? Right back in 1929, this was in the session, December session of Indian National Congress, which was organized at Lahore. There it was demanded, this was done for the first time, there it was demanded Purna Swaraj. You know what does this word means? It means complete independence by the British officers, right? By the Britishers. So this was demanded by Indian National Congress, and this was on the date 31st of December 1929. They decided next, like whatever will be the last Sunday of the next year, that will be 26th of January 1930. It was declared that we are going to celebrate it as what? First Independence Day of India. Okay, Independence Day of India. Now what happened, my dear student bacha? We got independence on 15th August 1947. However, the task to complete the constitution was done on 26th of November 1949. Hence, to keep this date as relevant in the history, we celebrate Republic Day every year on 26th of January and not on 26th of what? Beta, November. So there are two dates. Okay, date of adoption and date of inaction. So it was enacted in 26th of November and adopted in 26th of January, and this is what the chapter talks about in the starting. However, a very brief line is given here, but I wanted all of my students to know this, that it was adopted on 26th of November 1949 but came into force on 26 January 1950. The reason is that, okay, the constitution does not guarantees you the fundamental rights to all the citizens, however also provide you beta what? The responsibilities, the duties too. Right? The constitution says that everyone is equal irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, sex or place of birth. This is the right to equality article in your constitution. But coming to the chapter that actually talks about democracy, from where does this word democracy comes? What does it actually means? You know that when in the last class, the last previous book of democracy, of class 9, the chapter starts with the word democracy that came from a Greek word. They told us that the word democracy comes from a Greek word, and that Greek word was demokratia. Okay, demokratia. where demo means rule and kratia means people, and hence we call it as rule of people. So this is what is told to us since we had our last books. But you know that here the new books talks about that there are traces, clear traces of democratic traditions in the earlier parts of India too, right? Clear traces in the ancient India. So here is a text taken, a verse taken from Rig Veda. Pay attention that a text taken from Rig Veda, and from the Rig Veda it is from Ekyamatya Suktam. Okay, what does it say? Samano mantra samiti samani samanam mana saha chittamesham samanam mantram abhimantreva samanena vo havisha juhomi. What does it means? Actually, I also don't know that much of Sanskrit, but here it says their counsel is one and the same, the assembly is one, their mind is one, their intention together is one. I invoke for you this same guiding resolve with a common offering on your behalf. I make the oblation on your behalf. So on your behalf, I am the one who is representing you. What does it say? That by to the people of this sabha, to the people of this council, I will be the one responsible. So it clearly states that there was somebody responsible to the entire, what we can say, Janapada. Getting my point? More clear description to us will be given here. So beta, what happened na? The traces of, right? Let's talk about in detail and how the question will come, because this topic is very, very important. The traces of what, my dear students? Democracy. The traces of democracy in ancient India, right? First, what we have seen was in Rig Veda. Where it is seen, beta? In the Rig Veda. You just saw that here there was a verse taken from, I just forget, we will see it, Ekyamatya Suktam. Okay, so it is taken from Ekyamatya Suktam, which actually talks about what, beta? Which actually talks about a council which is responsible to the people over there. After that, they have they explain us that, but during the Vedic time, right? During the Vedic time, there were two, what we can say, during the Vedic time, there were two assemblies, right? There were two assemblies, that was Sabha and Samiti. Okay, I'll explain that in detail to you. So, beta, Vedic time means when the Ved was written. Rig Ved, Samaved, Yajurved, Atharvaved. We have four great Ved written, right? And it can be considered as the earliest writings in the Indian history. Talking about all of them, the earliest Ved written was Rig Veda. Beta, this Vedic culture actually tells us about their society, the political institutions, and a lot of detail about how the people live at that time. You know that these Vedic assemblies, the Vedic text tells us about certain assemblies. What are assemblies? When group of people are given responsibility to do something. But the Vedic period was the time when, what happening? Population was increasing. When population was increasing, people were organizing them as janpads, territory where people were living, having a common social life. Okay. Now, to protect themselves, to do their work, to provide them irrigation facilities, etc., etc., certain assemblies were formed. They were Sabha, Samiti, Vidhata, Gana. Sabha, Samiti, Vidhata, Gana. However, in this book of yours, right, what is written? It is written about Sabha, Samiti, Vidhata. Right? What are they, beta? Sabha, Samiti and Vidhata too. What are these assemblies? Beta, these assemblies are the assemblies that are responsible collectively for decision making. Decision making, what will be the item traded to the other territory, how it will be traded, right? How the coins will be made. Getting my point, right? How much agriculture to be done, how much tax to be paid. Okay? To take care of the territory from the attack of other people, other king. All this responsibility was taken by Sabha, Samiti and Vidhata, which used to work under the king. Right? We also read about the functioning of early republican state, that is Gana and Sanghas. Yes, this is one of the earliest example. Beta, when you read history, there is a chapter that is state and society. In that state and society, you will see that when people started living together as Janpad, later on it converted into what, beta? Mahajanpads. There were 16 Mahajanpads in ancient India. That means rule of different 16 kingdoms. In that kingdoms, beta, there were certain kingdoms which we can call as republic. Now here, as there is a word that is republic, what do you actually mean by this word? Republic, right? Is it democracy? Beta, what is the difference between democracy and republic? A question can come. Beta, republic is when, pay attention, republic is when the head of the state is elected. The head of the state is elected. Okay? Head of the state is elected. And then what is democracy? When the head of the government is elected. Example in India. India is a republic country? Yes. Because we elect the president. Who is the president of India right now? Tell me in the comment section. Right? Who is the head of the government? Prime Minister Narendra Modi, elected. Okay? Prime Minister Modi forms a democratic government and elected president forms a republic government. Now, let us take the example of United Kingdoms. They have the government also. Rishi Sunak was one of them. They have the government, matlab they are democratic because they elect their prime minister, but their monarch is not the elected head, rather he is the hereditary head, and hence United Kingdom is not republic, it is a monarchical nation. Got the difference between the two? Okay. Similarly, see, at that time the kingdom system was going on and those kings were elected. We have found the evidence of them, and hence we have the evidence of what, my dear students? We have the evidence of republic states. We have the evidence of republic states during that time named as Gana or Sanghas. Named as Gana or Sanghas. And here is the first evidence when king was not independent. Right? King was not independent, rather he worked in consultation of these assemblies. What are these assemblies? They come from the people. From where the member come in these assemblies? Elected by the people. And hence, it is a trace of democracy in the ancient India. Trace of what, my dear students? Democracy in the ancient India. Again they are repeating, there is a verse in Ekyamatya Suktam of Rig Veda which emphasizes the importance of collective thinking, shared discussion and unity of purpose. This is how deeply Indian democracy is rooted in the ancient time. One more thing, it's not over yet, beta. It's not over yet. So there was one thing, that is Buddha Sanghas, right? What was it? Buddha Sanghas. So everyone know about Gautam Buddha, bhai, the great man of India. Buddhism started in India. So Gautam Buddha started an ideology. Okay? It was against certain practices of Hinduism. However, personally, I consider that ideology to be great and that person to be the greatest of all in the Indian society. When we talk about Gautam Buddha, beta, after that, after he died, what happened? There were a lot of monks who followed Buddhism, right? And they formed a committee, or what we can say a group, that was known as Buddha Sanghas. You know that this Sanghas encouraged debates, discussion, their members choose their leaders and make decision through voting, demonstrating collective decisions. So there were Buddhist texts to be written, right? There were a lot of activities in Buddhism also. There where to go now, right? Which ideology to be written in the text. So beta, all these group of monks, right, who were the part of this Buddhist Sangha, take the decision collectively. Take the decision through the help of voting system. What is that? They are the traces of democracy in the ancient system. One example is this given here. Right? Over the long passage of time, invasion of foreign invaders disrupted this political social fabrics of some part of country. However, by 19th century, British colonized India. And because of this British colonization, we have like limited scope of people's participation, because what happened? They actually took the political control. They initially came as the economic harbingers. Later, they took the entire what? Beta, political control of India, and hence and hence our scope was limited. But what we did in 1946, we made the Constituent Assembly. We made what, bacha? Constituent Assembly. This Constituent Assembly took 2 years, 11 months, 18 days to completely write India's what? Constitution. And finally, in 1950, right, or 1949, we can also say that, but 1950, we actually adopted the Indian Constitution and again become a democratic nation in the world. So if the question comes, write about the traces of democracy that is found in the ancient text of India, beta, these 5 points will be enough to write in the answer. Question will come as it is. For sure. First is Rig Veda Ekyamatya Suktam, which talks about assemblies, debates, discussions, right? Then Vedic time, there was assemblies like Sabha, Samiti and Vidhata, which actually got involved in the collective decision making process. Then we talk about republic states, Ganas and Sanghas, which clearly makes us understand about the republic nature, that the king was not independent, rather take the decisions collectively with the help of these assemblies. Then we will tell about Buddha Sanghas, and the last, how India became a republic nation, or what we can say, a democratic nation by writing the Constitution of India. ठीक है? So apart from the indigenous democratic tradition, the global spread of democratic value also influenced the Constituent Assembly. I will tell about all of these in detail to you now. So beta, what happened now when Constitution was like to be made in India? ठीक है? When Constitution was to be made in India, so this was the time 1946 when major countries in the world became democratic. Like if I talk about Russia, if I talk about France, if I talk about Germany, Italy, United Kingdoms, USA, Switzerland, all these countries already became democratic. And somewhere we shared the past with some of the countries, like as we were colonial nation, USA was also. There are a lot of countries in South Africa also. Okay? Like if I talk about France, once being ruled by monarch and later became republic. So because of what we have done, we analyzed, right? We analyzed their past, we analyzed their constitution and took the major principles from their constitution. You know that for this work, Constitution was divided into certain committees. It was divided into certain committees. Like you are the State Reorganization Committee. You are this committee. So all these committees were provided with one head actually doing that work. One such important committee was Drafting Committee of India. Okay, Drafting Committee of the Constitution. Beta, the work allotted to this drafting committee was to provide the final draft of Indian Constitution. So for 2 years, 11 months, 18 days, they were not just passing time there, na? What they were doing, they were discussing on each of the topics with so much, what we can say, integrity, okay, with deep discussions and analyzing what is good and analyzing all the prudential reasons too. After this beta, after this debates and discussions, they reached to a final point which has to be drafted in the Constitution. The head of this drafting commission was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Okay? Who was he? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and hence he is considered as father of Indian Constitution. What he is considered as, my dear students? Father of Indian Constitution. Okay? Here you can see the picture of father of Indian Constitution. Accordingly, if we see the detail of the Indian Constitution, beta, we have taken a lot of principles from the other countries, like liberty. You know what liberty word stands for? The word liberty here stands for freedom, and it is taken from French Revolution. So as the books are updated, French Revolution is no more the part of your curriculum, your syllabus, but if you are interested, please go and read those books also. You will see that the word liberty came from the French Revolution. Here is the work, that is equality, justice, fraternity. So equality, you know that everyone will be equal in front of the law. Justice is that everyone will be provided all the resources equally. Then we have fraternity, which talks about brotherhood. Okay, there are certain terms on which our constitution depends upon. There is one more provision, that is Article 368, which talks about amendment. Why, beta? Right? I remember when I was like learning in an UPSC class, by my political science teacher, he gave a statement that remained into my mind for all the time, and I want to share that with you. Beta, constitution is a living document, right? What it is? Constitution is a living document. Why is it living actually? No. But it is living with the citizens of the country, which will change after a period of time. And as we will change after the period of time, we will demand some new thing. The society that was in 1950 is not the same right now, and hence there will be time we need to bring changes in the constitution, and that changes are known as bacha amendment. Those changes are known as what? Amendment. Right? Is there any provision given in the constitution regarding amendment? Yes, it is Article 368. Article 368. This ensures that constitution remains flexible according to the needs of the people. But one more thing to be pointed here. Is it so easy to amend the constitution, or it is so much rigid to amend the constitution? So beta, when we analyze the world of politics now, you will see that there are different types of constitution, like USA constitution, one of the rigid constitution. It cannot be altered, cannot be changed a lot of times, which I remember is around 6 to 8 or 10 times they have changed the constitution. However, in India it is somewhere around 120 times. Every time they write that 121st Constitution Amendment Act, which clearly tells us that this is the 121 times that the constitution is amended. But right, in India we are not that rigid constitution, we are not as flexible as United Kingdom constitution, we are somewhere in between. Right? Beta, constitution involves so many fundamental provisions, fundamental things on which the India lies, and cannot be altered unilaterally. That means that cannot be altered with any layer, one layer of government. And hence, if you want to alter it, there is a provision given that you require 2/3 of the majority of the parliament, as well as the consent from the states, also 50% of the states. However, it is like so much above the level, but I will make you sure that you understand it's not so easy to amend the constitution, as well as not rigid to amend the constitution. And this is what makes Indian constitution a living document. Okay, moving further, the very important topic of this chapter, which will for sure come as a 5-marker question, that write in detail about the principles of democracy. Okay, write in detail, bacha, what? The principles of democracy, and we are going to just study each of them very carefully. Okay, so beta, what will come as a question? Principles of democracy. Like I am making the chart, you will be making along with me. So the heading is Principles of Democracy. You know what is the very first principle of democracy, beta? The very first principle of democracy is popular sovereignty. Right? What does this word stands for actually? Right? But when we talk about sovereignty, the word meaning here is supreme. The word here means supreme. You know who is ultimate source of power of the constitution? Who is actually supreme in a nation? We, the people. Right? If you have read any time the preamble, it says that we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a socialist republic, secular, democratic. Read it, okay? So, yes, we, the people, are the supreme power of the constitution. But in the constitution, the power is given to the government to do these works, to the Supreme Court to uphold the law. How? Right? This power actually comes from the people. And the popular idea of the sovereignty means the state derives its authority from the people. When the question will come to you, you will just write one single thing. It means that the state derive its power from the common people of the India. Right? And how do people get this right, beta? Because we have one feature, that is universal adult franchise. Right? What do we have, bacha? Universal adult franchise, that every citizen of age 18 and above have the right to vote through a secret ballot, and this right is known as universal adult franchise. Getting my point? What are the pointers to be written here, beta? Okay, so the heading is popular sovereignty. What it is? Popular sovereignty, which clearly states that the ultimate source of power, comes from whom? Comes from people. Okay? People of India. And how does it comes from the people of India? By a feature that is universal adult franchise. And what is that? Beta, every citizen of India who is 18 years, not every person, okay? Every citizen of India who is 18 years of age or above have the right to vote, have the right to choose their leaders, and hence, who is sovereign? We, the people of India. Okay, and this is the one feature on which the principle of democracy depends upon. The next one here is, okay, first we will do the next one and then check that these questions you know or not actually. The next one is rule of law. The third one is fundamental rights. We will learn all of them, beta. Okay? So what was the first one? Popular sovereignty. What is the second one? Rule of law. Now what is this law? Kanun. Beta, rule of law clearly states us that it is a democratic principle, and it is stating us that everyone is equal before the law. Okay? It states us two principles, that is equality before the law as well as equal protection of the law. Now what is this actually? Beta, when laws are violated, disputes are resolved in court of law through the procedure established by law, not by force or personal influence. This prevents misuse of power and protection. No citizen can be punished without due process, and everyone is provided a fair opportunity to defend their rights against the arbitrary action. So beta, what happens now? There is a principle that is known as rule of law, right? When we talk about rule of law, there is right to equality in Indian Constitution, which provides you two basic things. First is equality before the law. Okay? Equality before the law. Now, what does it mean? That every individual in a nation is equal irrespective of their caste, creed, color, sex or place of birth. Getting my point? The second phrase says that equal protection of the law. Okay? Equal protection of the law. What does it mean? Equal protection of law. But what happens now whenever any of the person, any of the citizen misuse their power? It can be the minister, it can be the judge of the Supreme Court, and it can be any particular citizen in the country. If a person misuse the power, right, misuse the power, he has to be punished with the due process established by the law. This statement is equal protection of law. Everyone along with punishment is provided with a feature, what? To defend them. Right? It is not that arbitrary, see, in these times now, arbitrary actions can also be taken. So, to prevent these arbitrary actions to be taken, arbitrary means the government or anyone who is very much powerful in the nation can take any person outrightly without the offense to be found guilty or not. In that case, protection is provided to us, and that is equal protection of the law, that everyone has their right to defend themselves against the arbitrary action. This is what rule of law promotes. This is what, my dear student, rule of law promotes to us. ठीक है. The third feature is here fundamental rights. You know that it is the very soul of Indian Constitution. It is rightly being said that the fundamental rights are the very soul of Indian Constitution. Let me clear you that too. ठीक है. So what we will do, actually I want to create a single page where we will talk about all these provisions. We did this here. Okay, so what was the second feature beta? The second feature is rule of law. ठीक है, rule of law, so that it can be helpful for you even to have or make the notes of that. It depends upon two principles, that is everyone is equal before the law. Everyone is equal before the law. ठीक है, and it also provides one more thing, that is equal protection by the law. Equal protection by the law. ठीक है, equal protection of law. So what does it means? You are well aware now. Now the third principle of democracy is fundamental rights. What it is, bacha? Fundamental rights. So beta, when constitution was written, this was one of the important things that discussed in the Indian Constitution. You know that the first nation, right? The first nation to provide its citizens with the right, it actually USA, with the Charter Bill of Rights, right? Bill of Rights was presented, the rights were given to the citizens by USA, United States of America. So what we have taken, these fundamental rights are taken from USA itself, right? It starts from Article 12 of Indian Constitution. Pay attention to that fundamental rights starts from Article 12 of the Indian Constitution and move to Article 35 of the Indian Constitution. And they talk about what, bacha? Fundamental rights. ठीक है, a quick question to all the students watching me right now. By the way, I am going to tell you, but how many fundamental rights are there in India? Are you able to recall it or not? No? Then pathetic situation. See how much we do know about India, beta, and then claim that this is being done, that is not being done. First, we should actually know everything about India. ठीक है, I'm not telling you to take that statement as negatively. What I want is to learn more and more about India. ठीक है, so how many fundamental rights do we have in India, beta? We have 6 fundamental rights in India. First, it is right to equality. First is what, bacha? Right to equality. You know that this right to equality comes from Article 12 to, not 12, 12 and 13 are introductory one, right, which tells us what is state and all the brief introduction. From Article 14 to 18, it is right to equality. ठीक है, the second is right to freedom. Right to freedom, I will tell about each of them very nicely to you, don't worry about this. So the right to freedom, which talks about freedom of speech and expression, freedom to form union, freedom to reside in a country, to move outside of the country. It has lot more, 19A, 19B, 19C. Then we have Article 20 in the same, right? We have Article 21, which talks about right to life here. Right, so here it is from the article 19 to 22 particularly, 19 to 22. ठीक है, the third one is right against exploitation. Right against exploitation. So beta, there were so many methods in which citizens of India were exploited, like child labor, begari system where they were forced to work without even giving the payment, and hence to stop it, right, to stop the selling of the parts of body of humans as well as the human trafficking, which we call, right. This right against exploitation is a fundamental right under Article 23 to 24. Getting my point? The next one here is right to religion. Right to religion. So here in India, beta, India is a land where majority of 8 religion is coexisting. ठीक है, why? Because actually this article exists in the Indian Constitution and it comes from Article 25. ठीक है, Article 25 to 28. The next in the list is cultural and cultural and educational rights. Cultural and educational rights, beta. Everyone in the nation, irrespective of their caste, religion, creed, whatever it is, they have the right to protect their culture, their language, and pursue education in the same. And this comes from the Article 29 to Article 30. 29 to Article 30. And the last but not the least, very, very important, that is right to constitutional remedies. Right to constitutional remedies. You know that this is the safeguard wala article, right? This particular right in the Article 32 of Indian Constitution actually protect all these rights. What is this? Ma'am, please explain. Just a minute, we will explain all the articles. Okay, revision. So what we are studying? Features or principles of democracy, particularly Indian democracy. What are fundamental rights? Rights provided equally to every citizen in the country. Okay? How many fundamental rights do we have in a nation? 6 fundamental rights. From which country we adopted this principle of fundamental rights? USA. Right? It comes from which article? Article 12 to 35, but it starts from right to equality as the first fundamental right. Right? What does it provides? But it provides that there will be equality before the law. Right? There will be no discrimination among people on the basis of caste, color, creed, sex, place of birth. This comes from Article 14 to 18. Then we talk about right to freedom. Because the right to freedom, Article 19 itself consists in 6 new rights. The first one here is like freedom of speech and expression. When we were protesting in Jantar Mantar, what we were using is Article 19, that is freedom to protest. Getting my point? Right? Freedom from the article speech and expression. Right? You have the right to settle in any of the part of India. How? Because it gives us freedom to settle. It gives us freedom to move in any part of India from one place to another. It gives us freedom to form unions, associations, like CJP. What it is? Association, it is a union, isn't it? And it gives us right to trade freely in the country where trade was dependent upon caste initially. Right? Getting all those points. Right against exploitation, as I already told you. Human trafficking, again, if someone does human trafficking, it is our fundamental right, we can oppose it. Okay? Against child labor, we can raise the voice. Against begari system, that means forced labor. It comes from Article 23 to 24. Then, right to religion, everyone has the right to pursue the religion of their choice or not to pursue any religion. This is also the fundamental right under Article 25 to 28. Then we have cultural and educational right, 29 to 30, as I told you. Last, very, very important beta, if anyone, it can be government, it can be any citizen, it can be anyone. If anyone takes from you the above fundamental rights, you can directly reach to Supreme Court to claim them. Directly reach to. See, there is an hierarchy in the judicial system. First, you have to go to the district court, then you have to move to the high court, then you have to move to the Supreme Court. But here if anyone takes you these fundamental rights, you can directly reach to the Supreme Court. This right is provided to us by right to constitutional remedies. ठीक है? I know I'm going so much in detail, but I want बच्चा कि whenever you learn something ना, you should know everything, every word very nicely. In this let's explore wala part, there are certain details given, and what are they? The Constitution not only guarantee you fundamental right but also outlines the fundamental duties. You have the duties too. Okay? That is also given in your NCERT book in the starting. Go and read them. Read your duties also. Along with them, there are DPSPs, directive principles of the state policy. That means there are certain directives given to the government by make these types of policy. And if you are not making it, the result will be no votes. system has been changed, however. Okay, so this is the third feature or principle of democracy. Okay, fundamental rights. What you have to remember in this fundamental rights are, beta, we have 6 fundamental rights. I am not repeating here, so otherwise I will get the comments, ma'am, your teaching is fine, but you are taking so long to explain a chapter, because I explain everything in detail. I know that it takes your time, it takes your crucial time, it takes your precious time, but beta, trust the process. Okay, so yes, the third feature here is fundamental rights. Let's see which one is the next one. I know that it will be separation of powers for sure. Yes, so the next feature is here, separation of powers. Think about this scenario. What if from tomorrow PM Modi will have all the powers to do anything he wants, anything he wishes? What will happen? And now if you're thinking that, ma'am, the same is going on, think about it again. So beta, see, apart from jokes, let's continue and think about this separation of power. Have you heard about one statement that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts? Absolutely. So beta, if we give power to a single authority, they will work accordingly and will not think about the benefit of the citizens, obviously. Okay? And it cannot be called as democracy for obvious reasons. And hence, in a democracy where power comes from people, the ultimate source of power is people, there might be someone working on the behalf of people, that too with separation of powers. What do I mean here? So beta, we have a central government at the head. Okay? We have a central government to rule the country, right? Let us assume that the central government itself, right, only one single body in this central government have the power to make the law. The body makes the law. The same body implements the law, and the same body will check whether the law is correct or not. Right? For example, if I give you a task of completing a test, right? I gave you the test. Now you are the same one to check the test. You will give yourself full marks for sure. Similarly, beta, when the same body is asked to check it, no cross-checking, they will claim that we are the best working governing body in the world. Okay, hence to balance that, right, like our brain works independently of our limbs. All the organs of the body have different what works to do. Similarly, the central government, we have 3 organs. We have how many organs? 3 organs. One is legislative organ. One is what beta? Legislative organ. What does it do? Basically, it makes the law. Okay? It makes the law. Okay? Then next is about executive. What does it do? Beta, this executive body executes the law. Executes, or what we can say, implement the law. And the last one is judiciary, which actually check whether the law is according to the constitution or not. In shorter version, we can say that it upholds the law. Okay? It upholds the law. So there are 3 organs of a government: legislature, executive, and judiciary. Makes the law, executes the law, as well as upholds the law. And this is how this rule of law becomes the very essence of Indian Constitution or the principles of a democracy. Right? Let's read if anything is important from here so that you can put in your answers too. So the separation of power among the legislature, executive, and judiciary. I hope you are also underlining why I am underlining those keywords. Okay? So separation of power with distinct responsibilities enable democratic institutions to function effectively. Right? Why it is important, beta? To balance check and balances, right? To have checks and balances. Like if in case legislature makes a wrong law which is not as per the constitution, judiciary will ask them to change or declare it null and void. ठीक है. If executive, who is executive? Prime Minister and its minister is not enacting the law very efficiently, like that petrol or ethanol wala case is going on. So what happened? This parliament, member of parliament will raise the question again and again. And if they found that the government is not worthy, they will pass a no confidence motion against them. This is what? Everyone is checking each other at the stage. Checks and balances. This separation of power enable one principle, that is checks and balances. Yes, it is a keyword which you have to keep in mind. Okay, fine. So up till here everything is okay. One more word is important here, that is public interest litigation, that is PIL. You know that this is also taken from USA का constitution. What is that PIL? ठीक है बेटा, it is a legal action initiated in the court of law for the enhancement of public interest. So there are lot of issues which are raised by the people, which have to follow that hierarchy one after the another, and the process goes slow down because of ample number of cases pending in the courts. But this PIL is public interest litigation, which need what? Fast resolution of the case. And it is something, if something is going against the public interest, the people can file the PIL, public interest litigation. I remember you studied the same in class 7th and 8th too. ठीक है? And here one more principle of the democracy we have completed. And what is that, beta? We have completed one more fourth feature of democracy, that is separation of powers. ठीक है, separation of powers. Are you making this chart or not? Make it beta, it will be helpful to you. So yes, separation of power with three bodies we will write, and that is legislature, fine, and then there is executive, ठीक है, and then is judiciary. Each organ is checking the other one, and hence it is based upon the system of checks and balances to ensure accountability and transparency. ठीक है, checks and balances to ensure accountability and transparency. Coming towards back to this accountability and transparency, beta, what is accountability and transparency? Democratic government is accountable to the citizens. Why? Because we can ask questions as we have fundamental rights, right? Arey bhai, democratic government will work for the people if they need to come again as the government. Because we will vote only the government which is working for the people, and hence there should be accountability as well as transparency too. Any work that is done by the government should be like known to the people. You know, in that aspect, one right is being passed, that is right to information, and that was enacted in 2005 to ensure accountability and transparency in the Indian judicial system. Where it is written? Yes, it is written here. Right to Information Act allows citizen to take the information from any government agencies. What they are working, where they are spending, all this information can be taken from the portal of Right to Information Act enacted in 2005. However, it was so late after the independence. Or let's talk about when Constitution made. After 55 years, we as Indian citizens got this. ठीक है? Two more principles of Indian Constitution. One is multi-party system and the other one is safeguarding the rights of vulnerable group. Beta, multi-party system is very, very important. ठीक है? Let me tell you, there are different types of party systems in the world. There are different types of party systems in the world. Now, what is this? You know that not all the countries follow the party system we follow in India. As you can see, we have multi-party. How many parties? BJP, Congress, AAP, Bahujan Samaj Party, Trinamool Congress, Shiv Sena. And if you are living in a region, please analyze, right, which party you can see in nearby region. This examples beta clearly makes us understandable that why there are a lot of political parties in India. Yes. You know that there are around 1200 political parties that are registered in India, and there are a lot more unregistered working too. And hence we can say that yes, India is a multi-party system, but is every nation in the country a multi-party system? No, bhai. Beta, there are three political parties or party system that exist in the world. One is one party system. Okay, what is this? Only one party exists. Who win the election then? The next is two party system. Okay, this sounds to be little logical. And this is multi-party system, and this sounds to be little existential as we see it around us. Let me tell you, beta, one party system is a political party type of setup in which only one political party exists. My PP here is political party, okay? Don't take it other. So, one political party exists. Ma'am, is it really somewhere? Yes, beta. China is the example of one political party system, and that is Communist Party of China. Communist Party of China. Right? What does it means that only one party stands in election? Then who is the opponent by? There are two opponents from the same political party. You choose the leader. And hence it is clear that there is no choice, no choice. Two candidates from the same political party. You know that there's certain 8 or 9 regional political parties that exist, but they form the coalition with the same party. They merge with the major party. Okay? So then we have two political parties, right? The second system in which two political parties have the fair chance of winning the election. Either the party A will win the election or party B will win the election. That's clear because two only groups are there. And where does it exist? USA, we have two party system. Britain, we have two party system. Okay? Go and find out which political parties are those. Conservatives, Labour, find out. Next we have multi-party system when two or more than two party have the fair chance of winning the election. Have the fair chance of winning the election. Chance of winning election. But one question comes in our mind. Ma'am, right? For a political party to win, we need what? Majority. Okay? We need majority. In one party system, getting majority is for obviously not a difficult task because people have to anyhow vote them. Okay? And vote the single party only. In the two-party system also, if this does not get the majority, B will get. B did not get the majority, A will get. But in India, we have so many political parties, the vote will be distributed. Then what if nobody gets the majority? This happened in India actually. You know that the 1990s wala phase, beta, when gaining majority was a difficult task and hence came a different phenomena. That is, there are two phenomena however. One is alliance. Okay, and the other one is coalition government. Coalition government. But there are a lot of times when you get actually confused about both these words and consider them as same. Nope, they are not. Right? Very nicely you have to hear the statements. Alliance is when. Okay? Alliance in when two or more than two political parties come together to fight election. With the intention to fight election, like recently there was an alliance from India. Did they win election? No. But they came together, they made an alliance that against BJP we made an alliance. If we win the election, then we will become coalition government. Okay? So what is the difference? Alliance is when two or more than political parties come together to fight election. Coalition government is when two or more than two political parties after forming the alliance becomes the government and won the elections. Any example of them? Yes, the NDA government ruling right now. National Democratic Alliance, the BJP led alliance, right? NDA. Prior to this, what existed? UPA, United Progressive Alliance, the alliance created by the Indian National Congress. Okay, so they become coalition government. Yes, this particular feature is given in the Indian Constitution. You can see this, that secures more than 50% of the seats from government while choosing fewer seats constitute the opposition. So this is very, very important as one of the feature of Indian democracy. Last but not the least, that is safeguarding the rights of vulnerable group. Yes. I was seeing so many social media posts, so many social media reels, as well as people after that success of what? I can't call it as a success of CJP protest, but I will call it as a success of students protest, whom we are actually proud of, that those students made the Education Minister of India resigned. After that, there were lot of protests going in the country for reservation removal. Reservation hatao andolan. Okay? Why I am talking about reservation here, beta? Because this particular feature of Indian democracy, which talks about rights to vulnerable groups. So beta, one thing is for sure there in Constitution, right to equality. Everyone should be equal before the law, right? But you know that all those fundamental rights comes with reasonable restrictions, right? All those fundamental right comes with reasonable I forget the spelling. Oh my God. Reasonable restrictions. Sorry if you feel bad after hearing this voice, but I am having a heavy cough, cold, which can irritate you at times in the video. So, safeguarding the rights of the vulnerable groups, what is that? Beta, it is the duty of the government to protect all the communities regardless of caste, color, creed, religious background, etc. etc. Let me tell you, everyone is equal. Right to equality is there, but every fundamental right comes with a reasonable restrictions. Like if I say that they provide you right to speech and expression, does not mean that you can speak anything against the country. Getting my point? Against the country. So every right comes with a reasonable restrictions, and here it is. Beta, during the time we became independent, you know, one of the biggest challenge in front of the government, that among the 100% people, 90% people were not even having good food. There were certain groups which remained vulnerable because of the social hierarchy, because of the religious practices that existed in India. Okay? Like untouchables, like Shudras, like women particularly. There were tribal peoples who have not uplifted themselves a lot, and hence certain special provisions need to be made for them, for their upliftment to the society. It was the need during the time Constitution was made. I agree to that. So hence Article 46 of the Constitution states that. What does it say? So this is Article 46 of the Indian Constitution, which talks about the state shall promote with special care the education and economic interest of the weaker sections of the people. Two words are very important here. What are important, beta? They provide educational and economic interest. Economic. So when you fill any government exam form, you will see that the charges are different for different communities. Same for education. When you give an exam, you sit in a competitive exam, you will see that there is different, what we can say, marks criteria for different communities. So it comes from Article 46 of Indian Constitution, particularly provided for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, so that state shall permit any injustice to them. Now when lot of students think about this provision, that why was it needed and now it has to be ended, beta, the debate will never end. I am not here for that debate. I will just tell you the core idea, right, behind this particular article. Everyone know what should be done, and now what should be done. Why was it done? The starting was very nice, but now it has to be introduced with certain changes. But so there are two concepts in politics, right? One is beta equality. One is what? Equality. Okay, and the other one is equity, and the other one is equity. You know that this feature providing special privileges to the vulnerable, I won't say that privileges, rather the word is here, to safeguard the rights of the vulnerable people. We are actually not following this feature of equality, but we are following this equity. What does it mean? So consider that there are 5 apple. How many apple? Arey bhai, why I am drawing the apple? But I want to do now. Okay? Because I can see that. Okay, right? So consider that there are 5 apple and there are 5 members. 5 members. In case number 1, okay? In case number 1, each of the member will get 1 apple. 1 apple, 1 apple, 1 apple, 1 apple, 1 apple to each of the member. So that case is known as equality, right? You bought 5 apple and distributed equally among the 5 beggars sitting over there. To person A, B, C, D, E equally. But now, when you had a discussion with all of them, you saw that the 4 beggars are already having a lot of thing to eat provided by others. But there is one beggar who is not actually having any apple, and you know that he has not eaten since last 4 days. What you are going to do? You will obviously provide 4 apple to that beggar and not that one. You will distribute to everyone a little of them because you bought for all of them. Okay? Right? Getting my point? This is known as equity. This is known as what? Equity and not equality. And the constitution features providing safeguard to the vulnerable sections in India, like the tribal peoples, okay, like the scheduled caste people or the untouchables. And that principle is equity. We got it from the Indian Constitution, and hence let us add in the what, my dear students? Let us add in the features. So what features we have learned up till now? We started with popular sovereignty, rule of law, fundamental rights, separation of powers. Then we saw what? Safeguard to vulnerable groups. ठीक है भाई. Then we have learned one more, and what is that? Don't make it like me, okay? Separation of powers. Separation of powers. We have how many features now? 6 to be written. Popular sovereignty, where who is the ultimate source of power? Who is sovereign? People. Right? How? Universal adult franchise. Second one, come on, rule of law. Everyone is equal before the law. Right? There will be equal protection of the law. Next, fundamental rights. How many fundamental rights are there? 6. Right to equality, right to freedom, right to the freedom of religion, right against exploitation, cultural and education right, right to constitutional remedies. Next, separation of power among different organs of government, legislature, executive, judiciary. It depends on the feature. Checks and balances. Revise with me. Last two are separation of powers. अरे separation of power is repeated. भाई क्या कर रही हूँ मैं? Okay, which one I left? Multi-party system. Sorry guys, sorry. Okay, multi-party system. Here it should be multi-party system by multi-party system. So how many do we have? 6. Just a mistake. Okay? So multi-party system. India is a multi-party system. Example can be written as coalition government. And the last one, safeguarding to the vulnerable groups, especially to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. And it is based upon the system of equity. Clear? Question time. A lot of theory has been done. Question time. Let's check. Which of the following assemblies of the Vedic period involved collective decision making? Now what is this? Which of the following assemblies of the Vedic period involved collective decision making? Sabha and Samiti, Lokpal and CAG. Why Lokpal and CAG is in current time? Gram Nyayalay, Rajya Sabha. Okay, obviously option A. Next, Constituent Assembly took how long to draft the Constitution? You have to answer fast. 2 years, 11 months, 18 days. Learn with me. The Vedic verses from Ekyamatya Suktam emphasized what? Ekyamatya Suktam emphasized, it reflects the idea of council. That means consultation, consensus and shared responsibility, which is the deep roots of Indian democracy. Last but not the least, very, very important. Amendment to the Constitution of India provided under which article? Article 32, 21A, 368 or Article 46? Bhai, it is 368. You know, Article 32 talks about what? That right to constitutional remedies, the last fundamental right. Okay? 21 talks about right to life. 368 amendment and Article 46 are providing safeguard to the vulnerable groups. So remember, I know remembering articles will be difficult, but it is important. Okay, one mistake that I have done right away here is, beta, Article 21 talks about right to life. However, Article 21A talks about right to education. Sorry from my side, right to education. And this article was added in the year 2009. And then right to education, RTE, becomes an fundamental right. Sorry, Article 21 talks about right to life with with liberty. Getting my point? Okay, so 2009. And when did right to information became an act? 2005. Okay, all these years and all these numbers becomes important. Moving towards next topic of the chapter. Hold on, just coming in a second. Okay, so this box, right? This box gives us detail of what we were talking up till now. Is it somewhere reliable? Is it true or not? And what are the institutions working according to those features? So yes, we saw according to separation of power, there is a body known as legislative body. Yes. For that legislative process, who makes the law, beta? The legislature in India. This legislature is parliament for the central government and state legislature for the state government and local bodies for the local level like panchayat and municipalities. Okay? Then for the electoral process, to keep election free and fair, to ensure participation, to ensure equality and equity. For that, beta, there is Election Commission of India. Sorry, my bad. Here only equality will be there, no equity. Okay, because everyone is given the right to vote equally. So Election Commission of India is a body responsible for conducting free and fair elections for the nation. For the judicial processes, we have court, right, which ensure rule of law, equality and justice. Courts, when I say courts, I mean all of them. Supreme Court, High Court, District Court, local courts, etc. Then for participatory process, like, do people have any role in participation in this democracy? Yes. The role like media, right? Media is considered as fourth pillar of democracy. Considered as. Then we have civil society. Bhai, civil society matlab people participating in NGOs, right, working for the cause of the people. Certain associations that are raising voice against the government, that this should be done, this should not be done. Unions like trade unions, farmer unions form to raise if any of the law is against their will or against their betterment. Okay? Yes, then we have accountability mechanism, accountability which actually makes government accountable, transparent. And what are they? A body known as constitution body known as Comptroller and Auditor General. The person is responsible to look after and audit after the working of the government and their finances. Okay, the next is Central Information Commission. So this came as a result of Right to Information Act. So the body is known as Central Information Commission. Lokpal, which looks at the corruption done by MPs and MLAs. Central Vigilance Commission, also to check their functioning. Okay? For decentralization, decentralization means when the power is distributed from central and state to the local government. So, let me tell you one thing, the central and the state government was the part of Indian constitution when it was made. However, the local government is made constitutional in the year 1992. And hence this feature, decentralization, became a constitutional feature, bringing rural and urban local bodies. Panchayat is rural as well as urban is municipalities. Get it? The next is a bit of checks and balances, the system of checks and balances, devolution of power. One checks the other. Like Supreme Court checks the functioning of legislature and executive, etc., etc. Now this is something that is, let's explore. Please fill the table according to your knowledge. I urge you to do so. We have to do all of these because beta, this helps to make us understand more about India. Like here one they have given about accountability and transparency. The question are, so what happened now beta? The discussion of the parliament happens in 3 sessions. Right now, like monsoon session is going on. What is going on? Monsoon session is going on. You know that every session of the Parliament of India starts with an question hour. Question hour, where the members can ask the question to the government, why you have done this, why you have not done this. Where is the money going? Work, accountability, all that can be asked during this question hour. And this is, you know, that India's, what we can say, discovery. Or not discovery, I will say innovation. This is something started in India for the first time. That is question hour. Okay, the rest you have to give me the example, like multi-party you will write what? Coalition government. Okay, do this today. Let's move beyond, but we will solve some questions now. The right of every citizen aged 18 and above to vote is known as what? Popular sovereignty, universal adult franchise, rule of law, separation of powers. So this is it. What does popular sovereignty means? It means who is supreme? We, citizens. Rule of law, everyone is equal before the law. Separation of power among legislature, executive and judiciary. Next question. Which organ of the government interprets the law? Bhai, who interprets the law? Who tells that this law is correct or not? Obviously, judiciary. How many fundamental rights are guaranteed by the Constitution of India? 6 fundamental rights are guaranteed by the Constitution of India. Very good. Equality, freedom, against exploitation. Arey bhai, isme don't write exploitation, okay? Against word is also important. Next is freedom of religion, cultural and education right. And the last, constitutional remedies. Political parties in India function within the framework of, yeah, this is also given, I just missed telling you. It is the Representation of the People's Act 1951. So all the elections in the political party systems work on this Representation of the People Act 1951. And here comes a level up topic, important topic. What is types of democracy? What my dear students, types of democracy? So we will not discuss this, as I just told you that the role of media in democracy is to be a fourth pillar of democracy. Raise the voices of the people, the concerns of the people, which is not being seen nowadays. So the topic is types of democracy. Okay? Types of democracy. According to election system, according to the system of election, we have 2 types of democracy. One is direct democracy. Okay, bhai. The other one is beta indirect democracy. Now, what is this? What is this? Okay. When we look at the definition of democracy, which comes from a Greek word, democratia, it means rule of the people. But do you think and believe 140 crore of people in India go and sit in the parliament daily? Acha chalo, not work 140. 96.8 crore of people who are voting can go directly, participate in the decision making process and take the decision effectively for Indian nation? No possible. And hence what we do, beta? We choose a representative from our locality. Okay, representative from our constituency. This will be the more good word. Okay, and that person take the decision on the behalf of us. Getting my point? So what is direct and indirect democracy? Beta, direct and indirect democracy have a difference. It is actually not ideally possible to practice this direct democracy in the world, because it means that, right? It means that when citizens directly participate in what? Participate in decision making process, making process. Now, is it possible that Modi ji needs to pass a law in the country and will call your father, bhai, I have to pass this law, are you agreed or not? Direct democracy not ideally possible, in which when citizens directly participate in the decision making process, and hence here comes the indirect democracy, when people elect their representatives, right? Representatives for decision making process, right? They do not participate directly. They do not, bacha, what? Participate directly. They do not participate directly. ठीक है. Why this is not possible? बेटा, the countries with large population, right? The countries with large population, their large democracies, right? There the system is difficult to be like followed, and hence this is not applicable. However, whenever the country is with large population, accountability can come, right? Accountability can come with what? With this representative government. You choose your representative government or the person in a manner that he will work for you. If he will not work, you will change it. Accountability come. ठीक है. So direct and indirect democracy. Ma'am, but if this word exists, there might be someone practicing it. Can you please tell certain examples of direct democracy? Yes, beta. I will tell you. What happens na? There are certain cases or the certain countries which actually take the decision by the people. ठीक है. Take the decision by the people. There is an example of a nation known as Switzerland. Right? They practice referendum. There is a word that is known as they practice referendum. Okay. Referendum. Now what is this referendum? Okay. So beta, referendum is actually a type of democratic system. Okay. A type of election in which you ask a question to the citizens. Do you want to be the part of India? For example, right? The answer to this will be either yes or either no. This type of election system is known as referendum. And in Switzerland, this referendum is practiced. ठीक है? I will give you an example. When Jammu and Kashmir, the question was raised whether it should be the part of India or not, and advice was given. However, it is not done. Advice was given that we can conduct a referendum and ask the people there that you want to join India or Pakistan. So that is when people take part in decision making process. That is direct democracy, not applicable, not actually relevant in larger democracies like India. However, we follow indirect democracy. Beta, question for sure going to come from this topic. Will come from this topic. Leave me for my English, and that is write the difference between. Okay, write the difference between what, bacha? Write the difference between direct and indirect democracy. Indirect democracy, it will come from 3 mark. Do not write example as the third point. Write it separately. First point done here. Now come the second type of democracy on the basis of the government they form. This was on the basis of election, and this is on the basis of the government they form. That is either parliamentary government or presidential government. Right? Parliamentary government or presidential government. This is a lot of confusion among students, beta. Like India have prime minister, USA don't have. Why? Right? When we talk about UK, they have monarch, but they have prime minister also. Why? Because there are different type of systems these democratic government follow. And the two popular among them is either parliamentary or presidential. Parliamentary beta or presidential. Right? Let's see the difference among the two. ठीक है? Write the heading types of democracy. ठीक है? Types of democracy. Okay, bhai. Now, there are two types of democratic system in India. One is parliamentary, and the other one is presidential. Parliamentary form of government and presidential form of government. Now, what is the difference between the two? ठीक है? In parliamentary form of government, ma'am, parliament is there. Right? In presidential form of government, ma'am, president is there. Arey bhai, this is the basic thing, but what is the difference actually? The first thing is member of executive are also the part of legislature. However, here the executive is independent of the legislature. What does it means? So beta, parliament here means all those elected members that are chosen by the people who is allotted with a charge to form the government. Right? So, my dear students, what happened? See, this is Parliament of India. ठीक है? This is Parliament of India. Okay? In this Parliament of India, there are two bodies. One is legislative body, right? Legislative body, and the other one is executive body. Pay attention to this, okay? But the member of Parliament is known as MP, which come from different what? Political parties. All those members became the member of legislature. Whenever the law will be made, they will participate. But you know that in this member of parliament, whichever party gets the majority of votes will become the government. That government will choose its prime minister plus ministers. Prime ministers plus ministers. And hence, in parliamentary form of government, beta, the executive, right? The executive comes from what? Comes from legislature. Did you get this point? Okay, I just hope that this is crystal clear to you. So this executive comes from parliament itself or the legislature itself. However, in the presidential form of government, the executive is, okay, executive is independent of legislature. Independent of legislature, right? Independent of legislature. But the head of the party is known as prime minister, and hence the prime minister comes from parliament, and hence the system is parliamentary form of government. Here, the head of the country becomes president, and the president do not come from the legislature, and hence this is known as presidential form of government. Here, right? Here, beta, executive is, right, accountable and answerable to the legislature. Answerable to the legislature, as I told you. Okay? But here the case does not exist in the presidential form of government. President is independent. He need not to answer anyone in this country, USA. The example of parliamentary form of government is for obviously USA. Arey bhai. For this is India and UK is also. Here it is USA. Get it? Now let us come back. Yes. Here again the question will come for 3 mark. Write the difference between, right? Write the difference between what? Presidential and parliamentary form of government. Okay? Presidential and parliamentary form of government. But 3 points are given here in the book. As it is, please learn and write in your exam. Very easy. I hope that it's clear to you. Okay, next topic. You may have understood by now how democracy exists in the world, what are the principal features of democracy, and how the democracy is taken from the Indian principles or Indian ancient past, right? Let's discover more by learning about the countries here given in the chart. Okay? Don't miss this chart because lot of times question can come. See, now we are talking about country India. Right? Which system do we follow? Which type of democracy we have? We have parliamentary form of democracy, right? We also do call it as representative form of democracy. Why? Because those members of parliament are representing the Indian citizens, and hence we call it as representative democracy. Okay? The executive have the power, right? The power, like they become the ministers, and the ministers are headed by prime minister. But beta, all this system of government, executive, ministers and prime minister responsible to the legislature or the people of India. But we as a nation is also a republic nation, which means that beta, the head of the state, that is president, is elected by the people. Again, pay attention beta, we are democracy, right, as well as we are republic nation, right? What is the difference between the two? It is democracy when head of government, right? Who is the head of government? Prime minister is elected by the people. Okay? And what makes it republic? When head of state. Who is the head of state in India? So the head of the state in India is president, and he or she is elected by the people. That makes it republic. Yes, India is a republic nation. Okay, here it is written. We follow more features like multi-party system. We have a written constitution. We have fundamental rights and duties in Indian constitution. We do follow federalism. Now, bhai, ma'am, what is this word federalism? Please explain. Beta, federalism is a concept when power is not concentrated in single level of government. Rather, we have different level like central government, then we have state government, and then do we have local government. Clear? Very good. Next is about Canada. They also have representative parliamentary form of government. Executive power lies with Prime Minister as we have in India. However, the head of the state is appointed by the Crown of UK, the Prime Minister of the UK. And we can't call it as republic. Get it? They have features like federalism and multi-party system. So if someone asks you the example, more of multi-party system other than India, give the example of Canada. ठीक है? United Kingdoms by yes, we have democracy there, representative democracy. They also have a parliament. You know that the strongest parliament in the world. Prime Minister is there. However, there is a constitutional monarch also. ठीक है? And hence we can't call it as a republic nation. We called it as monarchical nation. One strange feature of United Kingdom is that, beta, they do not have the written constitution. Yes. You know that there are two types of countries in the world. Written constitution like India have. Unwritten constitution does not mean that they have not brought it anywhere. They're just ruling it. Arey man se chalne do. No. They have the constitution written in loose papers, not combined into a book. And just 6 to 7 papers in the constitution is done. This is how they have. ठीक है? Switzerland, we have beta direct democracy. Example of direct democracy of Switzerland. Chota desh hai, do not have multiple people. So the president is the head of the country. Written constitution they have. And then USA. The first democratic country in the world. Executive power, however, lies with president. And hence it is the example of presidential form of government. ठीक है? Written constitution with 2 major parties. No multi-party system in USA. But a question can come like... differentiate between the form of government there in USA as well in India. 4-5 points from here, take it directly. Okay, no need to struggle for answers. Everything there is given in your book. Let's explore wala part. Please read, beta. Democracy in practice, India's living democracy. Now, up till now what we were reading was theoretical portion which is written in the constitution. Here certain points are there. Practically in the India's world largest democracy, when people vote, please tell us that how we are living as a democratic country in the world. Beta, when we talk about first thing, so you know that there is huge representation in India. Huge representation, 96.8 crore people. Right? Making election of this large community is a difficult task. Right? Making them literate towards the election is again a difficult task. So on an average, but the problem lies here itself. But it is 96.8 crore people giving elections, giving votes. 140 crore people living, right? For all of them, we have how many members in the parliament for the nation? 545 members. You know that one particular MP represents about 25 lakh people. This is according to the data of 29 and it is 26 right now. 7 years, population has increased. So, this shows that how democratic representation actually work in India. Next is many language, one election. Yes, many language, one election. But according to a census, right? According to a census, you know that there are 1600 and plus major language spoken in India. And if we combine like Bhojpuri, Avdi all into one criteria as Hindi and do the same with others also, there are 120 major languages spoken in India. You know that to make it more easy, we have added list of languages which are like considered to be the original languages of India. 22 languages in the list. We don't have any national language. But we have official language Hindi and English to do the official works. But along with that, to facilitate the process in easy way possible for all the people speaking different language, there are 22 scheduled language in the Indian Constitution. And when you go for election, those election symbol are used for this only. Think about it. Why there are symbols in the election? Lotus, Haath ka Panja, and many more. Because people were at that time not literate. Even right now also the people will not be able to read what is written. And that too, in which language we will write, then there will again be a problem. And hence we opted for election symbols. ठीक है? The third task is by millions of polling stations. So when elections are organized for the parliament, for state legislature, for local bodies, beta, we need to poll the vote where? In a polling station made by the government. Right? The machines, EVMs are provided over there. In whichever area, remote to, I recently was reading a news. There is a place in Ladakh where only one person go and give the vote. There also a polling booth is separately made for that person. Okay? And yes, last but not the least, multiple political parties. By multiple political parties, I mean thousands of political parties. I mean what, beta? Thousands of political parties existing. Okay? Question time? Fine. So, let's get refreshed. Me also and you also. The question is, media is often regarded to as what? By fourth pillar of democracy. Switzerland is an example of which type of democracy? Quick, faster, think about it. Direct, presidential, parliamentary, or monarchy? No, by direct democracy. Only example. In the form of referendum. Okay? In the form of referendum. The presidential democracy such as USA, the executive is it part of the legislature? Not at all. Independent to the legislature? Yes. But we will read C. Appointed by the judiciary? Nowhere this will happen. Chosen by the monarch? How can he be independent if chosen by the monarch? Okay? Which country follows a parliamentary democracy with an unwritten constitution? Now, this type of question can make you confused. So, which country was having unwritten constitution according to the book? UK. Does it have a parliamentary form of government? Yes, by English Parliament made in 1688, you know, one of the strongest parliament in the world. I am not praising them. Don't think about that. They made us colony and Ma'am is saying that. But when you will look at back the history and we will study about English Parliament in the next year, you will understand why I am saying this. Okay? So yes, Indian democracy is standing, living, as I told you, living with all those things we have discussed up till now. Now we will discuss a little about elections and some of the Panchayati Raj systems and the great work done by them. Okay? Acha, let me tell you one thing, beta. When I'm talking about elections, right? When I'm talking about elections, so basically the election is conducted by first body, that is Election Commission of India, right? Election Commission of India. Okay? The Election Commission of India is responsible to conduct election for bodies like legislature, okay? Legislature, which includes all those member of parliament, prime minister included. Then the separate elections for president of India. Okay, here I am talking about Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha. Then we have the elections to Vice President. Okay, this responsibility is given to Election Commission of India. Then in 1992, it was said that every state will have their state. Okay, one thing I missed here, and that is state legislature also. State legislature. State legislature, I mean what, beta? The legislative body in the states like Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Karnataka, etc. Okay. Then we have a separate election commission body, that is state election what? Commission of what? States, by we have different bodies, but please don't make this mistake that State Election Commission do not conduct the elections for legislature. Obviously, it will not be transparent then. Okay, rather it conducts the elections for panchayats, that mean rural local bodies, as well as municipality. Okay, now why I discuss this with you, because we have to talk about some of the great work done by panchayats in India. The case study is given here of Jethipura Gram Panchayat. This is in Gujarat. Okay, Gujarat, Sabarkantha block Idhar mein hai, district Sabarkantha and block Idhar. Jethipura Gram Panchayat, what they did beta? So they have been given an award. They are awarded with Nanaji Deshmukh Rashtriya Gaurav Gram Sabha Puraskar award for those local bodies it is given who have done a very good work in terms of local administration. So it is not ensured the effective conduct of Gram Sabha and proper maintenance of record, but also they went further organizing special Gram Sabha. So what is Gram Sabha? You studied this in class 6 beta. You know that Gram Sabha is basically in villages. Right? In villages, all men and women who are entitled to vote, that is 18 plus, right, becomes the member of Gram Sabha, and this Gram Sabha meets frequently to decide or take decision regarding the villages. So they have done immense very good work for timely interactions, for interactions as well as implementation of the projects. Regarding the education, sanitations, proper management of irrigation, agriculture. So hence, after analyzing their work, they have been given what beta? They have been given this award. You know that why this award is given? Because they were very successful in maintaining the quorum. Now what is this quorum? You know that, which is even difficult to maintain in the Parliament of India. Beta, quorum is basically, so whenever the Gram Sabha is organized and called by the panchayat, by the sarpanch, that by this date we will come together and talk about this issue. So there might be people who are having functions at their home, birthdays at their homes, or having some important work which they consider more from India. So they will not come there. Okay? So quorum is basically the presence of minimum number of members in the assembly. The quorum exists for parliament also, for state legislature also, for Lok Sabha also. And these peoples have conducted Mahila Sabha, right? Women Sabha, see, to promotion of Women Sabha to ensure adequate quorum in Gram Sabha with active participation from the people who were marginalized in the society, considered as lower caste, right? Including scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and even active participation of women's. This is a good example. Okay? Where was it? Jethipura, Gujarat. Next is about a South Manubankam Gram Panchayat, Rupaichari Block, Tripura, Tribal Areas Autonomous District Council. This is in Tripura, state of Northeast India. And this is women friendly panchayat. What do we say? By in this, right? Especially women's take the decision. It promotes women participation. You know, Northeast region is always known for their matriarchal approach, and I actually like that. And this is one of the example, okay, where in the Panchayati Raj system, women participation is emancipated. Women and the right to vote, India's experience. And here is the women at the right to vote. But let me tell you that, right? When we talk about right to vote, right? When we talk about right to vote, women have fought a lot in the world, right? USA, when became independent, when they wrote the constitution, you know that they did not give right to vote to their women. United Kingdoms, when they wrote their constitution, initially they did not provide right to vote to the women, but we in India, 1950, when our constitution was written, we provided UAF, that is Universal Adult Franchise. You know that the full voting right in USA was in 1928, right? 1928. Sorry, in Britain it was 1928. and in USA it was 1920, right? Very late after they became strong, powerful, etc. But we gave in 1950 universal adult franchise. However, ठीक है? However, when we talk about participation of women, right? Beta, participation of women, where when we talk about participation of women in politics, it is extremely low. The data says that it is merely 14% women in the Parliament of India and 5% merely in the State Legislative Assembly. Pathetic situation. Count the number of women who have been the Prime Minister of India. 1. Count the number of women who have been President of India. 2. Go and figure out today from whichever you belong, whichever state you belong in India, count the number of CM from your state. Mine particularly were 2. So think about this situation, right? Think about this situation. Going to be independent country for 80 years long. And hence we have to work for this participation of women's in what, beta? In local bodies. Article 200. So we started this by providing the reservation in local bodies. So the initiative taken to increase the participation of women was to provide them reservation. Where we did first, beta, according to Article 243.3, there are seats reserved for women's. Seats reserved for women's in local bodies. How many seats? That is 1/3 seats. ठीक है? 1/3 seats reserved for women's in local bodies. In local bodies, right? Here I am talking about rural local body, and in urban local body it is Article 243T. ठीक है? It provides them reservation, 1/3 of reservation in urban local body, that is municipality. As of now, one more thing I will tell you, beta, the same reservation to women, an act has been passed recently in the parliament after decades. It was pending in the same parliament. An act has been passed to provide them reservation in Lok Sabha or Parliament of India as well as in state legislative body, hoping that it will get implemented soon. Okay? Chalo. RTI, I told you already about RTI, that is right to education. ठीक है? RTI, that is right to information. RTE, that is right to education. If I said something wrong, RTI, right to information 2005, RTE, right to education 2009. Now comes the biggest part and the last part of this chapter. What is that? Challenges to democracy. Right? Big thing. Big thing, because why? Being a country with largest democracy, with big population, right? We have even surpassed China in terms of population. Beta, we are lacking to implement democracy in its ideal way, obviously. There are a lot of challenges in front of democracy which is reflected in our day-to-day life. Actually, the best thing about democracy is to question it. But the best thing also about democracy is to solve these challenges too. So first we will figure out what challenges do we have after solving some quick questions. The PESA Act of 1996 empowers which body as the primary decision-making authority in tribal areas? Beta, what happens na? The PESA Act is basically an act, right, for the provision of administration in some of the areas, special areas, right? Against this PESA Act, one lady is set on protest. I was reading it recently, and she was on protest for around 16 or 18 years long. Read about her. So PESA extends Panchayat provision to schedule areas and strengthen the Gram Sabha. It is to provide Gram Sabha more powers in terms of its administration. In which areas, beta? In the areas of tribal belt. Next, Article 243D of the Constitution provides for women reservation in the Panchayat, or not less than. How much? It is 1/3. 243D. Okay. Indian women got the right to vote. When do we got right to vote? 1928. 1920 भैया 1928 UK, 1920 USA, 1950 when constitution was written, not in 2005. Which act allows citizens to seek information from the government department? Very easy. Right to Information Act 2005 provides us right to seek information. Now coming towards challenges to democracy, beta, there is list of challenges to democracy. In first one, there will be corruption for sure. This is one of the biggest challenge in front of democracy. ठीक है? Other is, according to this book, spreading misinformation. And I would say that this misinformation spreading is from both sides, not the single side of citizens. Alright? Then they are saying that misusing public rules. Okay, fine. I consider this as a correct point because yes, people sometimes do that. But everything there is written regarding people only, citizens of India only. Okay, then they are telling us that we have done a lot of development, but yes, you have one more problem, that is illiteracy right now going in the country, right? You have challenges like unemployment, where people are not even able to find the job when they are even educated. Okay, and a lot more. The list is very, very long. Like issues like media not performing its role, its work. ठीक है, like poverty existing in country, regionalism existing in country, communalism existing in country, gender inequality existing in country, and challenges are not ending. But yes, okay. Under this challenges heading, one more information is provided to us, that is regarding emergency. That is regarding what, beta? Emergency. Now, what is this emergency? So, whenever we talk about emergency, one thing that comes in our mind is emergency that was applied by Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister of India. Right? If you talk to the people who have like faced it, who were the part of that time, you will understand that how pathetic the situation was there for the citizens of India. But what is this emergency actually? Right? And is it constitutional thing? Yes, beta. So the Constitution of India, right? The Constitution of India talks about three type of emergency system. ठीक है, emergency. What is this emergency यार? From Article 352 to Article 360. The Constitution talks about three different types of emergency. The first one is national emergency. National emergency. Okay, the second one is beta presidential or what we can say state emergency. State emergency, which is also known as president's rule. Which is also known as president's rule. And the third one is financial emergency, which is not yet applied in India up till now. Right? No such situation came, thank God. Okay? And I wish near future no such situation ever comes that we need to face this emergency in the country. Now, what is this emergency? Beta, emergency type of situation is a situation which is the situation not handled by the government, not able to be handled by the government. For example, right? Beta, the Constitution of India, right? The Constitution of India provides us certain fundamental rights, fundamental rights, and hence a provision was made that if in case anyhow these fundamental rights are used negatively, this emergency can be imposed on the people, right? In three forms: national emergency. National emergency is when there is internal disturbance in the country, okay? Internal disturbance in the nation, right? Then there is armed rebellion, however some terms are changed, armed rebellion, or any of the war type situation going on. So there might be chance that war situation is going on, government is handling them and people are not supporting them. In a case, emergency can be applied, that is national emergency. Using this word internal disturbance, na beta, that assembly was applied in the nation in 1975 by Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and hence it was later amended. You know that the second type of emergency, state emergency president rule, beta, when when the central government think that the state of the country like MP, Gujarat, Rajasthan, any of the state of a country is not working as per the constitution, the government of that state is not listening and not working according to the constitution, the precedent rule can be imposed in that state of India. Yes, it has been imposed earlier many times. The third is financial emergency, when the finances of the nation is not able to handle. This comes under Article 352 to 360 in the Indian Constitution. Now let us talk about the emergency applied at that time. So beta, one of the biggest challenge of the democratic system was recorded when emergency was imposed in 1975 to 77 by Indira Gandhi. Right? So during the time she was ruling, because of certain issues, lot of dissatisfaction among the people raised regarding unemployment, inflation, allegations of misgovernance. In June 1975, national emergency was imposed on the ground of that internal disturbance, the loophole that was present in the constitution. During this period, majority of fundamental rights were suspended. You know that majority of people were beaten badly. Yes, that was the case. Right? The press was censored. You can't speak, you can't write against the government. Censorship was applied. No rights to speech and expression, to form the associations, unions, anything was not there. And numerous political leaders and activists were arrested during this time. And hence after, mass movement led by Jayaprakash Narayan, a political leader and socialist thinker, popularly known as Lok Nayak, mobilized students and citizens, especially in Bihar and Gujarat. However, it was lifted in 1977. Okay? General elections were held, and then there was defeat of the government, that is Indian National Congress, hitting at that time. Getting my point, beta? And this is how your chapter ends. Congratulations on listening me for this long. And if you are worried about ma'am, the notes you have written and the words you have underlined, because somewhere not able to do it, you can provide it. Yes, I can provide it. Where I can provide it, beta? I can provide this to you here. So the link to this course is there in the description box. The link to this course is there in the description box, from where you can get these courses. And this is just for 0 rupees. It is basically to provide you all the PDFs, session PDFs, quiz, a lot more thing. So you can see you are in which class, bhai? You are in, sorry, I missed it. So you are in class 9th. I thought you are in class 10th. Okay, CBSE class 9th SST. View this. Okay. Now what you can do is, beta, CBSE class 9, we have lot of content and assignments to be uploaded here, but I will tell you about the classes and the schedule. See, arey bhai, take me back. Why can't you take me back to my course? Okay, here is my course. What I want to tell you is, yes, here is the schedule. Sorry, my bad. Okay, schedule, you can see this calendar view, beta. In this calendar view, you will see that lot of chapters have been already uploaded by me. Like on Monday 3rd, there was a YouTube class of Sir, Sonu Sir for maths. Then I have the class, the last class, when was it? Yes, shaping of Earth crust, atmosphere and climate. So similarly, you will see the class as the same date I am uploading this YouTube video. Go to this page, AIU page, it is known as AIU page of Vedantu, and you can get the class slides, and they will be the session PDF for that. They will be the notes for you, and I hope that you are going to get it for sure. Okay, you're going to get it for sure. So it is basically on, what is the date today, bhai? Let me check. Okay, so it is on 10th of August. So you need to just go to 10th of August, right? Once the video is recorded and uploaded, you can see it on 10th of August. Download the session PDF. I will be adding more quiz also for this. Super duper. Ready to do this? Great. Okay, so this is all about the chapter. Here I have some more questions to be practiced before leaving. Questions are, national emergency in India was imposed 1975 to 77. Who led the mass movement against the emergency, beta? Jayaprakash Narayan, popularly known as Lok Nayak. Then we have Article 352, 356, 360 of the Constitution dealing with three emergencies in India. National, national, state and financial. Okay, so it is related to provisions of emergency. Great. Next, which of the following is a present day challenge to India democracy? Sub. But the challenge is, okay, so spread of fake news on social media, that is the part of misinformation. You see that a lot of times when there are spread fake news, it's true actually. However, social media is helping us to know a lot more things which government was hiding or could hide from us. Okay? So democracy is not merely a system of government but a continuous process shaped by institutions and active citizens. It's going day by day. The functions, the elections, the constitutional values, the process is evolving day by day as per the need of the people. This strengthens the democracy for sure. Okay? Before we move on, please read these. This is basically what we read in the entire chapter. Moving towards question and activities session, I will help you because somewhere NCERT questions are the must questions that you have to do. Okay? Don't leave it, beta. I have seen students not practicing those NCERT questions. I don't know why. Not very effectively you are doing that. That will be a problem. So read the passage and answer the question that follows. A school cabinet was responsible for planning a Republic Day. ठीक है भाई, it happens in your school also. You might be the person of that cabinet, right? You know, I was the cultural minister. So, a school cabinet was responsible for planning a Republic Day celebration. The members have different opinions on which activities to include. After the discussions, they added to vote and activities supported by majority were selected. Read it in your book if you can't see it. Fine. Which democratic values are reflected in this situation? Beta, they are deciding to vote. Which democratic system? Elections. How does voting help resolve difference of opinion? Because whoever will be in majority, the government will be formed. Why is majority decision important in a democracy? To hear from where the powers you got. To hear for the people from where you powers got. Mention responsibilities of elected representatives after a discussion is made. You have to do it. Second question. How would democracy be affected if citizens stop following laws and civic responsibilities? Explain with example. Beta, this is very important question. What will happen? So we know that by in a democratic system, when you get fundamental right, you get certain responsibility. It is said that with great power comes great responsibilities. If you are not following that civic sense responsibility, what will happen, beta? The nation will, and hence the situation like emergency can be imposed. Which situation best reflect the idea of popular sovereignty and why? Option A. Law is passed without public discussion. It cannot be possible. B. Citizen vote to choose their representatives. Okay. A court gives final judgment. Not at all. A minister takes an important decision. Nahi bhai. So B. Citizens vote to choose their representatives. This is popular sovereignty because the ultimate source of power is citizens. B is the correct answer to this third question from your NCERT. Okay, mark it. The rule of law is violated when? What is rule of law? Equality before law, equal protection of law. It is violated when laws are applicable equally to all? No. Courts review government action? No, it do. Powerful individuals are treated above the law. This is a problem. Bhai. Citizen challenge law through legal means. So we challenge law through legal means. PIL, public interest litigation is also there. It is 3 as the correct answer. Let's move beyond. Why is rule of law essential for protecting democracy? Beta, rule of law is essential for protecting democracy because it provides us equality before law. It provides us equality before law and it too provides us equal protection of law. Equal protection of law. Get it? Okay. Next is voting alone enough to make a country democratic? Is voting alone enough to make a country democratic? No. because along with voting, there are more things also: answerability, accountability, transparency. Support your answer with the example of chapter. So you have to write about that point. Which point, beta? Accountability and transparency. This is also the essential pillar. Okay? Question number 6. Social media allow people to express opinion freely. Yes. How can this strengthen democracy? Because through that, the voices can reach to millions of people using that, right? If we look at the time when there was no social media, the news were not reaching as quick as now. Okay? How can it weaken democracy? It work responsible, yet it too can weak democracy. Like, there are a lot of people who are illiterate and believe whatever is shown in the social media. Like when I will tell you the best example of my home, when my mother first used that smartphones, like, she is so innocent, right? She's not that much, I would say that she has not even went to college. So she's so innocent, she don't know anything. So whenever she watch a YouTube video talking about do this and this will happen in 10 days, she was believing it, and I was like, Mama, you have to be literate about this. Getting my point? So social media can work negatively on the people as well. They can shape their ideology. Right? If you're watching some content again and again and it is negative, or it won't be negative, it is making you believe on an ideology, there is a problem. Okay? So yeah, write a paragraph on what democracy means to you as a young citizen. I would suggest you take a call, you write it in your words. Okay? Conduct a model parliament sessions or Gram Sabha in class on local issues, cleanliness, responsibilities. Here your class 9 students, and I believe lot of you are participating in that MUN. So you guys have done it already in your lower classes. Choose any one democratic institution in India such as Parliament, Election Commission, Judiciary or Panchayat and prepare a note on that. This is something we have to do. Okay? What role does the Constitution plays in strengthening democracy? Beta, this is actually the source of all powers. The source of all powers and responsibility. What does it play in strengthening responsibilities? Because it provides you rights as well as duties. So we can write about the role of Constitution also as a living document. What challenges do you think the democracy? Bhaiya, this question is for sure going to come in your exam. Be prepared for that. What challenges this democracy have faced? Okay? Cool. What we have done up till now, understood the chapter entirely, practiced NCERT questions, practiced a lot of MCQs. Do you need to go anywhere after this? No, bhai, don't go anywhere. Learn SST from only and only Tanvi Ma'am. Okay, before leaving, we have a lot more questions. And by the way, I have to give you homework questions as well. So questions are, which programs are designed to instill civil responsibility and social awareness among the students? Civil responsibilities as well as awareness. NSS and NCC? Yes. Okay. So NSS and NCC, National Cadet Corps, these are the institutions made to design civil responsibilities and social awareness. Democracy in India is best described as what? Limited only to voting? No. A continuous process shaped by institutions and active citizens? Yes, I always tell you, it is a continuous gradual process going on and on. A system controlled by one party? Not at all. A model identical in every country? No, democracy is different in different countries of the world. Which of the following weakens democratic values? Which among the following weakens democratic values? Being media literate? No, we should be literate. Media should also be literate. Following fundamental duties? Not at all. Damaging public property and spreading misinformation? Ha, bhai. By the severe case that I don't know, yaar, I am not here commenting on any of the state, but I have seen that your government is making a rally, or what we can say, making a statue, any of the thing. People are, what I can say, taking lights from there, right? Thieving. Metros, we have seen certain videos circulating on the social media, and the worst situation is trains, public places, public hospitals, where you can see the condition, how citizens are behaving. Beta, that's our responsibility to keep the nation clean as we keep our house clean. Right? So this thing, a continuous damaging public property and spreading information, you will see the government official people are doing what? Peeking there. Not good. Public trains, worst situation of the local bogies. Metros in some states recently been made, and the video circulating in the market. So yes, which of the following weakens democratic values, damaging public property and spreading misinformation? Okay, next is Autonomous District Council, that is ADC, are established mainly to. These are certain questions I added to add more information. So beta, they are basically made to preserve tribal customs and with legislative and judicial authorities. So in the tribal areas, where bacha, in the tribal areas, right, to provide them with more power. Because see, making law for a tribal area, right, applying laws in a tribal area is little difficult, because tribal people like not to be interfered by any of the outsider, be it be the government or be it be anyone, and hence what they have done. And hence beta, like to give them more power in respect to the legislation and the judiciary also, because they have their own laws sometimes. ADC, that is also Autonomous District Councils, have been created. Okay? Homework questions. So now this is the favorite part of mine. That is homework questions. What is this? Explain how democratic traditions existed in India for early times. Beta, the first page when you open from this class notes, na, you will see that I have written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Rig Veda, Sabha and Samiti, then Buddha Sangha. We have learned everything. Okay? 5 mark question. I am giving you a task to complete that in 5 marks. Support your answers with the example from Vedic period and Buddha Sanghas. It is clearly written here. Okay? The Constitution of India is dynamic, not a rigid legal code. Discuss this statement with reference to Constituent Assembly debates and Article 368. I have told you that yes, in the Indian Constitution, amendment is there. We do not have any rigid one. Rather, we have flexible Constitution which can be altered as per the need of the citizens. I would ask you to write this answer for 3 marks. Okay. Describe any 4 principles of democracy upheld in India through the provisions of the Constitution. 5 marks. I don't want 4 points. I want 5 points here. Okay? 5 principles of democracy. Rules of law, separation of power, fundamental rights, multi-party system. Whatever you want to write. Write 5. Okay, what is meant by separation of power? Explain how it maintains checks and balances. So 1 mark for what is separation of power? Separation of power between different organs of government, legislature, executive, judiciary. Then you have to tell how it maintains checks and balances. This is for 3 marks. Okay, 1 mark for separation of power, the rest is for 2 marks. Done? Why is rule of law considered essential for participation? Again, this is for 3 marks. Rule of law. Equality before law, equal protection of law. Done? Distinguish between direct democracy and representative democracy. 3 marks. Direct democracy, and here representative democracy means beta indirect democracy itself. Okay, and also add 1 example. Matlab you have to write 3 plus 1 points. Do not add in the 3rd point itself the example. Get it? Next is compare the parliamentary democracy of India with the presidential democracy of USA with 3 points, again for 3 marks. By these were the questions I gave you in between also. Okay, meanwhile I was teaching. Next, democracy in India is not limited to voting during elections. Justify the statement. This is repeated from NCERT only. Talk about accountability and transparency. Okay? Discuss the role of media. Very, very important as the 4th pillar of democracy. A box is given in the NCERT. Go and learn it. Emergency of 1975 to 77, write a short note on them. What happened? So violation of fundamental rights is during the emergency. Why was it applied? Because Mrs. Indira Gandhi found it that there were internal disturbance in the country. However, the questions were raised regarding unemployment, inflation and lot more issues where people were forming, and this is it from my side for the chapter democracy. One more thing before leaving that I want to show you is, beta, the YouTube channel which you are watching me right now is Diksha Vedantu CBSE English. Two things for class 9th, beta. So class 9 students, we already completed the one shots once. However, it was the time when some of the chapters are taken from the book because book was launched then. But the initial chapters which I made was by my knowledge or my, what we can say, research. Okay? If you want to actually see them, then also I have the playlist. I will show you that. Okay, where is that playlist? By this is the playlist. Class 9th one shots. We have all the one shots there, and according to the new academic curriculum, I am making a series that is class 9th SST NCERT line by line. Beta, shaping of the earth crust done. You showered a lot of love on that. The next is human civilization and early human, this one chapter, history first. Done. You showered a lot of love on that too. Now it is the time I have uploaded the chapter democracy. 5 more chapters remaining from the new book, and very quick I will be doing that. But why it is slow? Because this is NCERT line by line. You just saw that we read each of the word, which is important for your exam perspective. I hope that this series is helping you. If in case you need any change, if you want to give any feedback, bacha, your feedback is always welcome in the comment section. I will be there helping you in case anything is required from my side for your class 9, because we have to be connected for class 10th also. Bye-bye, take care and study well. Do hard work, the result will be there. Bye-bye, take care, see you soon in the next video.